Hey, subscribers, thank you for downloading this recent episode from the podcast C's Get Degrees. Sit back and relax. We have the podcast host from Rich by 36 podcast, George Murphy. He's joining our show and talking about his favorite thing that both of us actually love to do and we have passions about. So we're going to be sitting back, trading stocks, trading forexes, trading all that fun stuff. So we both have passions of it. We're going to enjoy this. So on the other side of it, there is a disclaimer here. So what we say in this podcast is about educational use only. So there will be some things in here. Typically, as a broker and stuff, you cannot say out loud. So like the brokerage firms, the money, and all that fun stuff. So in some of this areas, we will get in depth. But just as a disclaimer, this is just basic educational use only. So sit back and relax, guys. Once again, thank you. Oh, on the other side of it, go visit Apple, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or all the fun things. Oh, yeah, YouTube. For your recent downloads here from the podcast, C's Get Degrees, and other old episodes here to sit back and relax. So once again, if you guys have any questions or if you want to see some swag, go visit etsy.com/CSGetDegree or pay attention to our Facebook link to go hook up with some swag here from the C's Get Degree. So once again, sit back, relax, enjoy it, and have a good week, guys, everyone. Corn is out. Deuces.
All right, man, I got you.
What's up, dude?
I'm on. I'm doing good.
Is this gonna be video as well? There's so many different ways that you could distribute this. Like I drew it out. Like you have Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, just normal podcast channels, YouTube. And I know that I'm missing some stuff. Twitter. And that's something I've talked a lot about on the podcast. You got to find what works for you. And my strategy may not work it doesn't work for everybody, right? Some people just want to buy VOO or SPY and never look at it and just automatically put it in. I think that you do have the chance to provide some sort of outperformance if you can just, like when you wake up in the morning, you're reading the news and you're reading, all right, Pfizer's got a vaccine out. What does that mean? Just instead of like, if you just ask yourself what these things mean for the broader market, and you're able to just kind of think critically about different trends that are happening, you can, I think, create a little bit of outperformance against the broader market, but not also be as wrapped up in the day-to-day stuff. I got a baby, I got another job. Like I don't have time to sit in front of the computer all day. So
I have not traded this week. I have not traded since the day after the election. So is that Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah.
So I've had 4 or 5 days off, and obviously I'm going to do it again. It's no big deal of it, but when you see that hitting yourself in the head a few times, it's like, okay, time out here. So I'm just doing
that's something that you learn over time, right? Like you have these gut feelings about stuff, and you learn over time to start trusting it. Because like back in January, I'm sitting on the sales desk and I'm popping my head up like, hey guys, y'all know like 60 million people in China are locked down right now because of this virus, right? And the market was just hitting a new all-time high. I was like, something's not adding up.
Yeah.
And I wish I just trusted my gut to sell out and move the cash. But, being able to have the balls to trust that feeling in your gut is an important part of trading.
And for me, it's no, and I'm not going to tee off. You've seen what happened yesterday, and you've seen supposedly it went up 500 points and then it dropped 500 points. To be honest, dude, I have zero news on the market the last 4 days because I completely shut off. And when you're sitting there, it's like, yeah, there's a tech sell-off yesterday. I'm like, whew, got saved by that one. Trading's a long-term thing for me, and I will be back in it. I think what it is, this is the perfect time to sit back, relax, re-strategize, and figure out how I'm going to approach this, and have a crystal clear market of, am I doing just the Dow Jones 30, or am I doing, just SPY, Facebook, Amazon, whatever the top 10 that people short and buy and sell, and just kind of keep it simple, stupid type of thing. So obviously I got a speech next weekend this weekend for the event and all that stuff. But in general though, I need clarity, dude. You get in the heat of the moment of everything, and you have 500 moving parts. The best way for me is, jump in one thing, you have 4 things to worry about. That's it. Jump in another thing, you got 1 thing to worry about. Jump in another thing, you got podcasts, record and edit and release. 3 things. So I don't want to use the term dumb. It's not dumb. It's like, if I have crystal clear things to say, okay, hey, if I can turn that switch to route 2, okay, grab your 2 things and run.
So I heard this interview. I listened to this podcast called Macro Voices. It's run by a hedge fund manager, and he's interviewing, I can't remember, his guest last week is a gold and precious metal investor, but he talked about being an alligator investor, which I thought was a really cool term, where an alligator can go for a year without eating. And trying to incorporate some of that into your trading or into your investing is, I think, a pretty smart thing to do. Like, you don't have to place a trade every day. They're tapping into this sort of primal dopamine thing that we have going on in our brain, where you place a trade and it lights up green and there's confetti falling, and that kind of, it's an addicting hit, right? So yeah, try to be more like an alligator when you trade. But I know that you trade a lot of currency and stocks, but I do think that over the next couple of months, there's going to be opportunities for you if you're looking at the right stuff. It's not going to be smooth sailing into the new year. You have whatever sort of legal things Trump is going to do. You have COVID. I mean, yesterday, the state of Utah was the first state, I think, to come out and issue a mask mandate, and they're not shutting down businesses, but they are mandating social distancing. So I think that there's a lot of uncertainty still to come before the end of the year. That's going to provide volatility and an opportunity for people to make some money on a short-term basis. Your immune system, your mental space is more important right now than ever to maintain. And it's not something that is talked a lot about, I don't think, but like taking vitamins, making sure that you're, look, we're going on 8 months of a global pandemic, and just making sure that you're happy and healthy is the most important thing you can do right now. Because if you are one of those unlucky people who catches this thing, you're going to be able to fight it a lot better if your body and your mind are rested and healthy. Yeah, there you
go. So my concoction's kind of different. So I pretty much it's going to be a little long list, but for my powders, I have immune system powder, a green red berry mix powder. I have pre-workout, pre-workout protein for working out, a little bit of sugar beet to get the heart going. That's just my workout ritual.
Are you still going to a gym right now?
Yep, every other day. And then I do yoga my odd days. So like today and Thursday, I do yoga in the morning.
Do they make you wear a mask inside?
Yep.
Do people follow that?
They try. It sucks. Yeah. When you're wide open, dude, you have to drop that, because you're going to get dizzy if you keep sucking in air in that mask. So it's definitely a tough battle. But a lot of the guys will drop it down. They'll still cover their mouth, but their nose will be exposed and then they'll catch their breath, and then they'll slide it back up. So when you're in the heat of the moment, dude, and your heart's going 100 miles an hour, there's no way you can have that mask on. You have to have some air coming in, or you're going to be passed out.
That's a weird thing, man. There's a gym right by my house. Nobody's wearing masks inside of it. And every time I walk by, I'm just like, on the one hand, exercising is good for you. Like those things we just spoke about, for your body, for your brain, getting your endorphins flowing. On the other hand, you're in a tight, confined space that's probably not well ventilated, at least this gym, and nobody's wearing a mask. what the risk reward of that is I don't know, it's a challenging thing for me. Like I used to go there. I haven't been since the pandemic, and I'm not going back.
I don't know which COVID you got down there. We got two up here. So we have the full in-depth internal long one that everyone's talking about. And then we have one that kind of creeps up. I don't know if it's a false positive because the tests are popping it positive, or if it is true COVID, but just like a more of a washed down version. And I don't want to use the term washed down. It's just what I've been experiencing when seeing two different people. It comes in and creeps in like ragweed. So it's almost like an allergy attack. And then all of a sudden you get the allergy attack, you get the runny nose, which is normal. And then it kind of creeps in with the sore throat because it acts just like a severe allergy attack. And then all of a sudden your voice is gone. And then you wake up, you're fatigued for a little bit, your neck hurts a little bit, and then you just don't taste nothing.
Yeah.
Versus the other one where you don't taste nothing and your freaking lungs are just hurting like hell. People are coughing shit up, and then that's the COVID they have. So there's two different strands coming up around here. They're both testing positive on the quick test.
I don't know if it's two different strands. It may just be that. And I think what's been so challenging about all of the lockdowns is that the virus affects people differently.
Yep.
Like, there's been young 30-year-old healthy people who have died from this thing. And then there's been old, 74-year-old presidents who have recovered in 3 days. And, how do you, how can you effectively control it when it's affecting people differently? People have different ideas of what it is. How do you mandate a nationwide lockdown? Or like, look at what California is doing, where nothing is open still. But it's such a challenging thing, man. And then all of a sudden you have like governors, right? And mayors, people who have no experience with anything this challenging, in charge of people's lives and financial futures. And like, it just puts this whole shock on the system. I talked to a commodities trader a couple of weeks ago on my podcast, and he's an ethanol trader. And I was like, how much money are you moving in a typical day? He was like, well, yesterday I bought a whole train of ethanol. There's like 180 or 160 giant train cars of ethanol. And he's sitting down in Houston.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing amount of liquid, right? And he's buying this thing. They deliver it into a hub in Chicago, and his company's got these massive storage tankers that they put it in.
Big money.
Yeah. He also said that, electric vehicles and batteries getting better, or, he's, for his specific industry, he's really concerned about that, right? Like if everybody was driving a Tesla or, the Mustang Mach-E tomorrow, it would really hurt commodities trading. It would hurt oil prices and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, so everything's determined on oil up here, and I'm gonna say oil. So as much as they want to say buy and sell to China for soybeans and corn and all that stuff, if we have low oil prices, the commodities are gonna be super low. That's just how it follows.
Yeah.
So if because it goes on ethanol production for the corn. So I know in Texas, if you drive about 3-4 hours north of you, and I think up by Amarillo, if I remember right, a lot of those guys are big time corn growers.
It's about 6, 7, 8 hours north.
6, 7, 8 hours. Yeah. Texas looks a little bit smaller on the map. If you look at like up here, we're still on the fringe of dairy, but like all that agricultural industry got whacked hard when, I'm not going to say Trump came in. It's been in the process of it in the last 5-6 years. He was just the last guy that has a face to all that, driving the nail in the head pretty much.
Well, dude, from what I understand, there's just like any other industry, there are big companies, and big companies kind of hit this area where they can't grow anymore. In order to grow, that they have to go out and buy and consolidate to achieve the economies of scale to continue to hit these growth numbers. And I'm assuming that there's been a couple of conglomerate farming companies that maybe a Monsanto or somebody else that have just come in and taken out all the quote unquote smaller independent farmers.
Yeah, so Monsanto bought out, I don't know what it was like lately, but 2008, they bought out 65 seed companies in 1 year. It was ASI buyout is what the nickname was. They brought out all the micro mid-level tiers. So like a more of a regional based company, and they just kept buying and buying and buying. Well, they bought everyone out and pretty much merged it all into 4 or 5 different labels. So they took all those companies and just completely erased them, revamped them, whatever. So DuPont came behind and bought out another 26 companies because Monsanto did it. Now, if I remember correctly, I don't have a graph to do it. I had it, but there was one big regional company in South Dakota, and Dow came and bought them out, which is now DuPont.
Yeah.
So what it is if you play the game and you do it correctly, they're not going to bug you. If you play the game and you start getting too big, they're going to come and buy you out and let you, to them and say, hey, this is how they approach it to their customers. Cause I've been part of one already. They say, okay, hey, we can't access these genetics unless we merge with them. So it'd be, okay, hey, we partnered with them to get semi-load 1, whatever it is. Well, it's a drug dealer pretty much. So it's like, hey, we're gonna need more and more and more. Okay, hey, let's go to another semi-trailer. Let's go to another semi-trailer. And then all of a sudden, hey, let's merge. So you access the warehouse 1. And then, oh, by the way, hey, you have 80% of all of our stuff. Hey, let's just buy you out. Here's a big chunk of change. And then you can have access to everything.
Yeah. I'm assuming I don't think it's specific to farming. I think it's just human nature. If you look at what's happened with all these breweries that pop up, and then InBev and Coors Molson go out and buy all these small independent craft brewers.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. You can have access to our distribution network. We'll pay you this big chunk of money. You stick on for a couple of years, and then we fold into you. And for the small farmer, for the small brewer, it's a huge payday. It's the chance to exit their, get paid and exit their position and maybe go do something else. Or the issue is when it's a company like Monsanto that's using these, spending hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of dollars a year on lobbying so that they can use chemicals and all this terrible shit in our food, when they're the company that's doing all the acquisitions.
You want to know something
here?
I'm gonna give you a little city knowledge here. Even though it says organic, there's still a chemical list that they spray on. People that's
oh my God, are you serious? How do you know that?
Go to Google right now.
I'm on Google.
Go to organic corn organic production chemical approved list. There's labels strictly for organic farming, which is more like.
All right. So the pesticides approved in organic farming are largely natural ones, though a limited amount of synthetic substances are permitted. Dude, I was having this 4 years ago. I'm sitting at the dinner table with my family, having a huge argument with them because they're all lactose intolerant. We only eat organic. I'm like, what does organic mean? Like, just because they put the label on there, they're like, well, it means that it's healthier for you and it's raised without. I was like, but how do you know that? You have no idea. They could be doing the same thing and just slap a label on it and charge you $5 more, and you never know the difference.
So the number one most expanded network in agricultural is the natural market and the organic market. The organic market. So the natural market it's pretty much the same as the regular market. So I'm gonna give a crash course on the labeling because I have the farm degree, and I've been in the heat of the moment of this many times. Regular production, you have the gluten, you have all the full chemicals, the Roundup and all that. That's regular production. Natural production is, don't quote me on this. I'm just telling you how I saw it at the time. It could have changed now, but natural production is if your cows were raised up on a pasture more than 80% of their life, and they only had one shot in the whole 80%, they can be labeled as natural. That's going to increase it another 30 cents a pound for bringing to the market. Okay. Organic production is completely, if you get state certified 5 years or more and you do the whole routine of it, I don't think there's insecticides, there's all kinds of other stuff that's tied to it. It's more just natural based. So it's more, the term we used a lot is neonic at the time, which just means Monsanto had a thing that had neonic in it that would kill everything. So it'd be like DDT. They pull that out. Neonic actually what kept the bees alive. So like when you spray something on it, the neonic actually disappears. Like the bees were still there, the ladybugs were still there, but they're beneficial egg sets, and then it would kill the opposite one. So there's a lot of science behind it.
Yeah.
Me personally, I know there's a difference because especially with me lifting weights and being alert on everything, I have a big time head fog if I have a regular production, something under regular production. I have the massive headache, massive head fog. Am I 100% organic? No. You know, there's certain things I still like on both sides of it. I'm pretty much right in the middle. When it comes to eggs, if I go buy the cheap Walmart ones versus like a $5, $6 cage-free, whatever it is, and you crack the Walmart one open, it's going to be a dull yellow, and you crack the cage-free and it's an orange one, dude, my body will suck up those orange ones left and right. It will only eat one or two of the regular ones. Those orange ones, dude, it's like candy to me. I can eat that whole fucking tray. So there's
get your Rocky on, just crack them straight into the cup and drink it.
No, I fry them. I'm not that bad. It's a texture thing, man. It brings back bad memories when I was in college. But yes, there is a difference. My body can tell the difference, and I'm gonna sit here and say I got friends on both sides with dudes. So like I'm the perfect kid that will take the blunt or that take the bullets for both sides because I've been on both sides. I know both sides. The sweet spot is running right down the middle and grab eggs and whatever it is. I barely drink milk. I'm almond milk now.
Yeah.
It's allergy based, but there's a middle line you can bounce on both sides, but I'd rather take local grown, local everything. But yes, there's chemicals for organic, and let me tell everyone that there's chemicals for organic farming. But the nice thing about having organic farming, we're gonna switch here because I know I got to be gone in a couple minutes here, but cover crop farming, which is a big thing where they plant a grass, so like wheat and all that stuff before they plant like the corn and all that. All that learning came from organic farming overseas in Europe. So what it is now, people are adopting practices on both sides of it. So if it wasn't for organic farming, they wouldn't have healthy, sustainable farming on the other side of it. So it's more of a neutral road now, but yeah, we went on farming and trading and shit, but.
Dude, speaking of, this is kind of in the same boat. Did you see McDonald's is creating McBeef? I think that's what they called it. They're gonna stop working with Beyond Meat. This kind of the faux meat, right?
Yeah, the soy meat, plant-based meat. Yeah.
McDonald's is gonna launch their own version of that, and I think it's gonna be called McBeef, which is just, I don't know if I like that name. I don't know if I would eat something called McBeef, but there's so much technology in this, and like where we're going to be in 10 years as a society, which is how many people we are, how many people we have to feed, and where science is going. I think in 10 years, it'll be, you're probably eating a lot of genetically engineered stuff. And, you know, the Monsantos of the world are just spraying these terrible chemicals all over the earth, or, you know, hopefully they get phased out, and that's
we're actually a GMO too, but I'm just gonna smile and say it this way. So people are genetically modified. So if you look at any shots or vaccines, that's a GMO. So it changes your trait.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you go down that route and stuff, but yeah, non-GMO stuff is 100% true, all that stuff, but.
Are you going to get the COVID vaccine?
Probably not.
They came in and said, all right, it's free, it's quick, you just show up here and
I only had one flu shot in my life. I obviously tetanus and stuff, I'm still due for it. I was not in the mood to get that shot when I was there last time. As much as my goals is to be on top of preventative stuff. So like what we talked about earlier, handful of vitamins, handful of shakes, whatever. So like be as much preventive as I can. If you can be preventative or proactive and kind of get your body out, it's going to push all those metals out. It's going to push everything out, and it's going to at least flush it to a point. I could tell you straight out, come day after Thanksgiving, like the next 3 days is going to be hell for me, just because I'm not used to having all that food. So pretty much I'm on top of, I'm not saying I'm not on top, dude. I'm just a person trying to make my head as clear as possible. And whatever I can give it, I can give it. If there's more I can give it, I will give it more. I will spend freaking $500 a month if I can on my health. When that goes into, I know we have to stop here in 2 minutes, but that goes into the government, where I think we're going to be heading the next year or so.
All right, there's a good cliffhanger.
I think next year you're not going to see all the bullshit with the insurance companies, and they're going to get their goal of printing $2,000 a month in COVID relief, and they're going to give us one neutral down the road, one neutral health insurance plan. I think those are going to be the cliffhangers coming the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Which
it's amazing when you have a global pandemic, a company like United Health makes the most money that they've ever made in their history. In like the second quarter, their earnings release was the highest revenue ever. And all these people are losing their insurance because they're getting laid off. There's a lot of things wrong with our healthcare system right now. And I'm okay with trying to change it and make it fair. Like, look, all the shit you could say about Trump, he did have a lot of really good policies. If you just look at the policies that he passed, like one of them was an executive order limiting the cost of prescription drugs. We've been financing the rest of the world's prescription drugs for a very long time because they come in, they develop them, they charge us astronomically more money than they do in places like Canada and Europe because their governments have cost controls and we didn't.
Yep.
Trump ended that. Said you have to charge us the baseline of what you're charging, whatever it is, the average of what you're charging all the other companies.
Because they knew they can get paid.
Right. And I do think there's still a lot of room for healthcare reform, and I'm open to trying it. But Chad, I do have to run here.
Let's do a part one here.
Tell her a quick plug.
Yeah, plug everything, dude, and then we'll have you come back for part two, and then we can just make it back to back.
Awesome. Well, Chad, thanks for having me. I'm George Murphy. I'm the founder. We're doing this. Let me start up. Chad, thanks for having me. You got to stop laughing. I'm George Murphy. I'm the founder of richby36.com. We publish a weekly stock newsletter where we, every Monday morning, we put 3 trades in your inbox. And these are quality companies they have to be profitable and they have to be in growing industries. We use technical analysis to show you where to buy and where to sell, right? If it moves up, if it follows our thesis, here's where you sell. If it doesn't, here's where you set your stop loss, so get you out, recycle your money into the next thing that's going to work. And we use fundamental analysis to tell you why you should buy it as well. So nice combination of both sides of the investment spectrum there. richby36.com. I have my own podcast as well, the Rich by 36 podcast.
All right, man. Let's have you back for part two. Have fun. Enjoy your life today. And we'll have you back next week.
Attaboy. Thanks, Chad. It was a pleasure.
Yep. See you, man.